come in a busy schedule. It's not always that easy. I would like to thank beforehand all the presenters for having taken the trouble of preparing some input for our discussions today that will make sure that we will have an enjoyable, informative day. And then finally, I would also like to thank the EuRiC team for having organized it. There's a lot of hard work and determination going into setting up a thing like this. And I know that you guys have been working hard up on the 6th floor, or wherever it's the 5th. Is it the 6th? Sorry about that. Now, I would like to start to crediting the Commission for the high ambitions that has been set out in the Green Deal and also in the new Circular Economy Action Plan. That contains a lot of very, very good things for an industry like ours, and I'm talking in general recycling. All recycling streams within EuRiC will benefit from what's in that plan, and I can say on behalf of the tire recycling, I'm sure for the rest also, that we will do our utmost to contribute as much as possible to achieve those goals, which is a good and a very ambitious plan. As I see it, the circular economy consists basically of three foundations. One, we have to collect the waste. Two, we have to process the waste. And third, and the more difficult one, we have to find suitable, sustainable applications for the raw material that comes out of recycling. If one of those cornerstones will not work, we will not succeed. And that is one of the reasons why today it's very important, because we can only achieve that by cooperation and openness. I have personally been in the recycling industry for around about 8 years. And I remember when I joined Genan as Group CEO, I was very enthusiastic about the fact I should now join the green team. I should be with the good boys, and we do all the good things for the environment and the climate. And now 8 years on, I have to admit and conclude that I have never ever in my career, and it's been a few years, been defending my products as much as I have since I joined the recycling industry. And I think that's something we have to change. And that is despite the fact that we don't manufacture anything. We simply just recycle products that have already been approved, placed on the market, and reach the end of their life, and we take care of it. It's clear that we should not, and we should always, I'll put it the other way, we should always look for sustainable applications for these materials, because the reason why we have been defending, or I've been defending products, is that it's been questioned if it is the right application where it's put, with good reasons. So of course we should be very strict and clear in that we should always find sustainable applications for the recycling material. We do not want to solve one problem by creating another. That has to be very clear. But we need to create applications for raw material from recycling. And we need to establish more certainty and clarity. The risk is that if things continue as they do to a certain extent, and the goalpost will be moved all the time by policymakers, investors like ourselves may not want to continue to invest in the industry. And I'm sure that the policymakers are doing that with all the good intentions. Don't get me wrong here. They do everything they can, we all do, to make sure we work on the framework that is both taking care of the environment and the circular economy. But we have to understand, the way I see it, that the way we approve applications and products in the future have to be different. Our raw materials have now come from planet Earth, and that has a luxury of always being accompanied with a very clear specification of what it is. There's a table of content of all the products being produced and put on the market. But the problem is that the future mining industry will no longer be the planet Earth. It will be what we see in this book here. It will be all the things that we have manufactured already, chairs, screens, shoes, glass, All these things have already been placed on the market and are being used today. These are the raw materials that we're going to take advantage of in the future. And we as recyclers have to collect that, we have to process it, and we have to find the right applications for it. The problem is it would be a mixed raw material. It will no longer be a very well-defined raw material. And that is a challenge that we just simply have to face as soon as possible as we can. We have to change the orientation when we approve products from the table of contents to the migration of what comes out of the product. That is, to me, very clear. And that's one of the reasons why we have today as well, that it's, for me, is important that we make that crystal clear. If we continue having only the table of content, the raw materials to recycle, they will be mixed, and therefore they will be difficult to live up to that. Nowadays, we are constantly, when we are trying to find places to sell the recycled raw material from the raw material from recycling, we are faced with questions about table of content. And very often, we are losing out to virgin material for that very reason. And of course, that is never going to be good for the circular economy or for the environment. If migration was accepted as being something that we test and put as a basis for approving products and applications, we could compete on level terms. And that will definitely be different to what it is today. The latest one that is up now is the questions about the chemical content on the granulate being used on playgrounds. And again, it's a question about table of content. It's less about migrations. If we do not channel, or if we do not succeed in this, we will end up just collecting and processing, and we'll find it difficult to place them the way I see it. That doesn't mean to say that the precautionary principle should not be in place. It should definitely be the guiding star. I just say that I think that we have to base it on what comes out of the material rather than what is in it, because the products that we are recycling have already been approved on the European market. Now, the good thing is that the policymakers are addressing a lot of issues and topics that will favor that in the future. I can mention things like eco-design, digital product passports, end-of-waste status, and recycled content. We as an industry are welcoming that very much, and we would like to participate as much as possible to have that taking effect. However, lawmaking takes time, and in the meantime, our industry have to live with the circumstances as they are now. That is quite clear. And that, as far as the tires are concerned, unfortunately, still facing a lot of restrictions and proposals for bans of applications of recycled rubber for end-of-life tires. First, it was the PAH issue, and that was a question about not placing on a football pitch because of chemical content. It was, after all, ending up in nothing, in the sense, well, nothing's not right saying. We had a REACH regulation that put some very fixed max on PAH values, which we accept and certainly work towards. And we were already complying to it, or the industry was before. But it took 5 years. And during that 5 years, a lot of market for raw materials from recycled products were lost because people, of course, got scared. There was discussion about, can you die from it, can you not? End of the day, nothing happened. We had a restriction, but it was for no reason, in the sense that we did not change anything. We were doing it as we did. We were well below values that were to any health risk for anyone. And now the next thing is, of course, the microplastics. That has been going on for quite a few years. I will not go into any details of that because that will be a topic for later on today. But I would like to take this opportunity to say that we as an industry are 100% behind the restriction of microplastics and make sure that it stays where it should. There should be no doubt about it. We are also very much in favor of making it so that we don't continue putting infill into football pitches without any retention measures, as been the case until now, because it does not make sense. But we do feel that we have sent a lot of documentation into the Commission, and now there's a proposal on the table that, of course, would have an effect if it so will happen. The fact is that we don't believe that the right thing to do here is to ban a very good application for recycled material. We believe that the retention measures that will be mentioned in a short while by several speakers is the right solution for the environment and for the circular economy. We don't approve the idea of just banning it and thereby opening up for a big problem for 400,000 tons of tires that will, in effect, leave the country or leave Europe on boats, by road, and ending up incineration somewhere in the world, which will be very damaging to the CO2 emissions. But as I mentioned, we are very much in favor of doing restrictions, but we just think that we should have more of a pragmatic view on it, and then look at the solutions that are available so that we can continue with a very, very good application for raw materials made from recycled products. I will finish again my speech by thanking everybody for coming around. I hope we will have a very enjoyable day with a lot of information. I would like to emphasize once more that our industry, and I can only say in general for the recycling industry, but I'm sure I speak for everybody, but particularly for the tire industry, we would very much like to participate in the process of finding suitable, sustainable applications for our materials we will recycle. There should be no doubt about it. We have to accept as an industry that in the past, certain mistakes have been made. Certain application has been put into action without probably the broader environmental aspect of the long-term consequences. We have to accept that, and we have to correct it. And it seems as if there's probably at some stages a bit more of an opportunistic approach to it. But the best way of avoiding that happening, the best way of developing the right solutions, is to have a close cooperation with all authorities and organizations in order to exchange information, views, environmental impact, and all those things in order to find the right applications. And that's exactly one of the targets of today, and most certainly is what we intend to do as an industry. Together we can make a huge difference on the circular economy, but it needs to be based on a transparent cooperation under which the exchange of information at all levels is taken seriously and is taken and considered and understood before dramatic decisions are thrown out or put on the table, because the consequences are quite dramatic even of the debate. Only in this way we can ensure that all three cornerstones in the recycling can be working well, both the collection, the processing, and the finding good applications for it. And that is the object of the exercise, as I see it. With those words, I would like to open a long day, and I really look forward to have the debate and to listen to all the clever people who will, I'm sure, contribute with useful information. Thanks very much.